Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are live from Studio 4 at Simon & Schuster, and this is Book Club Favorites. I'm Dana from Atrium Marketing. This is Stu from Sales, and Mackenzie from Gallery Marketing. And today we are so excited because we are talking about The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. Show and tell! So hopefully some of you have read it. For those of you who haven't yet, there's still time to grab your copy after you listen to this great conversation. And we will do our very, very best not to have any spoilers for you guys. So no spoilers. It's going to be hard.
We're going to work hard,
but we'll try. So as we go through our conversation today, we are going to have a big giveaway that's really exciting. 5 winners are going to get not only a copy of The Clockmaker's Daughter, which is very exciting, but also copies of all of Kate Morton's backlist. So those include The Lake House, The Secret Keeper, The Distant Hours, The Forgotten Garden, and The House at Riverton.
Whoa.
That's cool.
And you don't get to win. Super bonus, you're also, those winners are also going to get a copy of next month's pick, which we're going to reveal at the end of the live today. So it's a really good prize. We're really excited. And the way you enter is to comment below. So chime in, let us know what you think. I'll ask you some questions along the way. And here we go. I think, Stu, do you want to give us a little background?
Yes, I
no
would,
spoilers.
I would love to. I'm going to do my best to do no spoilers.
Okay.
I've written a few notes so that I don't give things away. But basically what this book's about is, and what Kate does so well in all of her books, is she makes a house a character in her books. And to kind of put it mildly, like this is a history of a house, and you're gonna go through the different installments in time of what happened in this beautiful house known as Birchwood Manor, and you'll see a lot of characters along the way and how the house has been a witness to history. That's kind of it. I mean, we start in modern day. There's a discovery of a kind of curious artifact that leads our heroine to the house, and throughout the pages it kind of unfolds what was going on there. I think that's the broadest way I can say it with zero spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. I think actually, we should talk about the house a little bit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Let's get right into it.
Like Stu said, the house is really a character. In the novel, and it actually has a lot of character. It's this sort of big old historic house. It's old by the time our characters arrive, and I think we begin in the 1860s.
That's correct.
Or we begin in modern times, which is like a framing device. So we start here and we work our way back and then through time. So it starts in the 1860s, and by that point, this is already a stately house with a long history.
This is one of those good old-fashioned English manors.
Oh yeah, a dream house.
Yeah, so there are staircases and different rooms and different gardens, and you really get immersed into the house.
And it's right on the river Thames, is that right?
Correct.
River Thames.
So couldn't get a better location there.
Exactly.
Location.
And then throughout the book, you actually see the house in different times. So you see it during World War II. We do see the house become something other than a residence. I think we can go ahead and say it becomes a school.
Yeah.
At one point. That's not giving too much away, right?
Nope.
And then in the modern day, the house is actually being turned into a museum. So it makes for a really interesting setting when you see this house being used in different ways, each to kind of different purpose for each character in each time setting.
Yeah, we also get sort of the town around. We get to walk around the grounds of this beautiful house and this sort of old cemetery, which I thought was so atmospheric, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you love atmospheric home novels.
I mean, a little Downton Abbey, but also a little. If you're familiar with Kate's books, this is what she does so well. Is she paints these beautiful houses that you wish you could live in, and that's really what sinks you into.
It's a house, but it feels like a whole other world.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk through that front gate, you feel like you've entered a different realm.
Right.
And she does that so well. I mean, again, the house is beautiful, but the way she describes the gardens and the grounds is beautiful, and the river. It's just.
And it also, the house has a kind of magnetic pull
Yes.
to
Yeah.
it, that the people who come to the house are like actually drawn to it,
Right.
and that those connections stay throughout generations, whether the people know or not why they're pulled to that place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of
I
fun.
just gave myself chills.
It's true that that's how you feel when you're reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see all the different, like, in the different time frames, like how they're using like one certain staircase,
Oh,
or
yeah.
how they're using like one certain room and the many functions of it. I find that so interesting.
And all the sort of like secret corners and gazing up to try to find where one window is in the
Yes.
house when you're exploring the grounds.
Right.
It's all so sort of misty and beautiful. And
Yeah.
actually, Mackenzie, you were saying earlier about Kate's Instagram, which
Yes. Oh my gosh. If you don't follow Kate Morton on Instagram, stop watching us. Go follow her because
But then come back.
But then
come
come
back.
her pictures are unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah.
I wish I could go on those walks that she takes
Yeah.
for these pictures because it's gorgeous.
And it's interesting bringing up pictures because a picture is one of the driving forces that leads our modern
You are
day
correct.
character to the house.
Yep.
There is a picture that's discovered. This was one of my favorite plot devices that Kate's ever done in one of her books because I kept guessing where that picture was taken, and I was like, oh, I bet it was here. I bet it was here. And I could not figure it out. I really didn't know until the end, and then it was so satisfying when that kind of came back around again, and I'm like, oh, perfect. That's where the picture was. Like,
Yes.
that's beautiful. So
I actually think, and this is something I wanted to bring up for us to talk about anyway,
Yes.
so thank you, Stu, that there's a lot of art in the book. I mean, a
Yes.
lot
yeah.
of what happens, the action of the book centers around art. We have, Elodie in the present, who is an archivist going through these things and finds the photograph. So there's really early photography, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
And then we have, painters, and we have the house itself, which kind of feels like a piece of art.
Well, one of our main characters, Edward, being an artist, I mean, that's his life. Art is his life, and he brings people into his life that either drive his art or inspire him to create art. And you're right, I mean, it's a huge theme of the book.
yeah, so in the 1860s storyline, it's a group of artists that are at the house, and it's really interesting how much art and nature play a role throughout this entire book. And what I really loved was the way Kate ties art and nature together in a very, very clever way. And the house, as I mentioned, becomes a school, and kind of a curiosity about nature and
Yes.
curiosity about art kind of blooms
Yeah,
in the
that's a
house
great point.
in a really gorgeous way because I don't know. I really love to watch like young people like discovering new things and
Yes.
discovering butterflies or insects or anything just kind of cool that way.
Yeah.
And it plays a really interesting role in the book. What did you think about the nature?
Well, I mean, I think part of the setting in this like beautiful open field right by the river, and you can feel that these young artists are pulled there to do their art, and they frequently take their sort of picnic blanket and their supplies and go outside to create outside.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
also think back to something you said, this sort of the connection of science and art is
Yeah.
the sort of like the natural beauty of the world is
Yeah.
brought in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was like the science and there was like an architecture element because of the
Yes.
house.
Oh, yeah.
And she tied it so well. You were gonna say something? Sorry.
I just wanted to say I do think that she does a really great contrast too, because she does describe 1860s London in a lot of her flashbacks, and it's gritty and it's dark and it's a little dirty, and when it's contrasted and kind of compared with the beauty and the eloquence of the manor, like that's when you really see just how powerful art and nature are in the book.
Yeah.
And whenever we went back to the house, it's really interesting you say the dark, gritty London,
Of the city,
because
yeah.
when we went back to the house, I felt such light.
Yes,
I
and
felt like,
relief and-
there was nature and light and this beautiful, surrounding. Which I think is really brought about in our cover. It's
Yes.
this gorgeous like light
Oh yeah.
kind of coming out to you.
What do you guys think about novels about art? What are your
Yeah.
favorite novels about art? Tell us in the comments
Please,
below.
I'm curious.
It could be novels about art,
Nature.
houses, or
houses.
nature.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yes.
what you love.
Any of those.
And just as a reminder, if you comment below, you will be entered in our great giveaway, which is a copy of The Clockmaker's Daughter, as well as all of Kate Morton's backlist, and our super secret, not yet revealed title for next month, which you have to stay tuned to find out what it is.
I think we have an audience question.
Yes. Oh,
Is
yes.
what I'm
okay.
hearing.
I'm checking my phone, not because I want to be rude to you, but because that's how I will. know
Oh,
the
because that's
question.
how we have our audience question. We're so high tech here.
So this is a question from Shayna.
Okay.
What inspired the storyline?
Ooh,
Oh.
that's a good one.
I wish Kate were here.
I wish
to
Kate were
answer
here for
on
that
her
one.
own behalf.
I know.
But I know that a lot of the house was inspired by several real locations.
Oh,
That
okay.
she posts about on her Instagram, actually.
Okay.
She has posted about them on her
If you
Instagram.
go away to check the Instagram, make sure you come back.
Please, yes.
Yeah.
I don't mean to drive away your views, but
And I think this is right. I think I read that she took a lot of long walks in
Yes.
London.
Yeah.
Yep. mhm.
I don't remember where I read that.
She wrote about it on her website.
Okay,
actually.
all right.
Mhm.
And I think that she was kind of inspired because something, if you're a fan of Kate's and you haven't had a chance to read this one, first of all, you're in for a treat. And secondly, this is kind of Kate's, I don't want to say most complicated, but it's the most storylines that she's tackled in a book that I've read by her. Normally there's kind of a past storyline and then there's a present day storyline, and then at some point they marry in her books. And in this one, there's actually 4 different time periods in it. So it's her most complicated in the sense that there are 4 different stories going. But I found myself rushing through it because I was so excited to
I
get
loved
back
them.
to certain stories, and I loved all of them by the end. And she did it so well. And I think what I was trying to say about the inspiration was I think she was taking long walks and kind of got all these storylines in her head, and through her genius, married them all in such a beautiful way.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what I know about the inspiration. That's what I've got.
Without being Kate herself, that's our best
Yes.
answer.
I think Kate actually talked about this a little bit too in a note specifically to book club readers,
Ooh.
which you can see on the Book Club Favorites Facebook group.
Oh
my
which
gosh, what a treat.
I know she wrote a note specifically
so lovely.
to all of you out there. So
Oh, I can't wait to read that.
if you haven't joined the Facebook group for Book Club Favorites, now is a great time, and we'll put a link down below so you can click over and do that now.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
fun.
Yes.
Wow.
Special treat.
I know. I'm
Yes.
gonna run back to my desk and do that.
Should we do another audience question?
Yes,
Sure, yeah, bring it
please.
on.
Bring 'em on.
So this is a question from Eileen. Is anything historically accurate?
Oh.
Ooh, I think the situations would be historically accurate, but I don't think the storylines are actually things that happen.
Yeah, I think.
Is that the question? It's all fiction.
Yeah, but I think some of the themes that she pulls in, like pre-Raphaelite painters, and
yes.
also early photography. So it's set against real life things, but I
Right.
think
Yeah.
the whole story is
Right.
Her
fiction.
imagination.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. But you will learn some historical things. I mean, there was definitely people did flee during World War II out to the country. But there are elements of history in it. But no, I think the story.
Oh, even one of my favorite characters is based on a real person, but I don't want to say it because
Oh,
it's
right.
totally a spoiler.
It is a very big spoiler. Yes.
But I was so excited when the reveal happened.
Yes.
I was giddy when it all clicked for me.
Yes,
but
that's
I
a
can't.
very
But I
fun.
won't say it because it's a spoiler.
It'll be a fun surprise. It's not quite an Easter egg, but a cameo.
It's not,
So-
yeah.
some-
And I think for some
some
from
sort
nerds,
of.
it'll be better.
Great.
Okay, we have one more question from Nancy. What is the time span of this story?
Ooh.
Oh, Nancy. It starts in. I
got this.
got it like written right here. It starts. Well, the story starts in like 1860s, but the character Edward is born in 1850s, and then it spans all the way through to 2017 when Kate wrote the book.
In chunks. It's not like we go year by year here.
No, it's all in chunks, but yeah, it's a very large
Yes. Yep.
span. I understand that I'm giving you, and there will be breaks in between, but yeah, that's how it goes from.
Yeah, and all the threads are just beautifully
We
woven
should talk
together.
about that because one of my favorite things was like turning the page and starting a story and being like, oh, this was this character, or oh yes, we get to go back to this timeline. And each of the different timelines feels so unique and the characters feel so different. And I don't know, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about that because I mean, sometimes you read books that have all these different storylines and you're like, I wish I could go back to this one. But every one was a delight for me to read.
Everyone was a delight for me too, and you're right that everybody was so individual.
Yes.
But being a massive Kate Morton fan and being familiar with how her books are written, I was looking for the connection between the characters as I was reading,
Interesting.
and I kept
Okay.
kind of being like, okay, now how is this going to factor into this person's
Gotcha,
life?
okay.
You know, and so
Was it the way you thought it was going to be?
No, not at all. It surprised. It completely surprised me.
In the best way.
In the greatest way, and that's how I love to end a book. Is when I'm like, I did not see any of that
Yeah.
coming. And my sister is also a massive fan. We tend to read her books together, and we will call each other and just have hour-long conversations
awesome.
about. We're like, I didn't see this coming. This is what I thought was going to happen. We have like all these like different plots that we thought were going to go a certain way, and it makes for a very, very fun conversation with your friends,
Yeah.
which is why this is a perfect book club pick.
It
and
is.
especially
Bingo, yep.
this one, this newest one of Kate. I dare say it's my favorite one she's written so far. I know I'm going out on a limb by saying that, but I think it's my favorite one because there's so much to talk about in it. There's so much that you can gab about. I mean, you'll probably go through a whole bottle of wine while you're doing it.
Probably. If you have already read the book, go ahead and let us know who your favorite character is in the comments below. Do you guys want to do it too? Who's your favorite character?
Ooh.
Oh, we have to pick right in front of everybody.
I know who my
But
favorite
you, okay.
Go ahead.
Mackenzie,
You
go
say it
ahead.
first.
My favorite character is Tip. We first meet him, I believe, he is in the storyline of the family that retreats to Birchwood Manor right after the Second World War starts. He is the youngest of 3 children. He's there with his mother, and he was just such a delight. He was such a delightful character. He was like the picture of innocence and purity, and I loved watching him discover the house, through the eyes of innocence, through the lens of innocence. And we do see him later in the story and in the present storyline in a completely different capacity. But I loved his character. I think about him all the time. What about you guys?
You go ahead. I'm still deciding.
Oh, I'm totally know who I think everyone, I told you one has a spoiler, but my other favorite character, I'm certain, is Lucy Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one.
So Lucy, I love her because she's so strong and smart and she's empowered by her brother to, pursue learning and then gives that gift by opening a school for girls and watching her empower young women at a time when there wasn't a ton of empowering things happening for sure, young women, but for children, I think children were very much seen and not heard, or maybe not even seen at all. And she is just such a tender heart and an appreciation for natural beauty.
Yeah,
I loved her.
that was the one I was gonna pick too, and that's why I asked you to go first. I was like, I bet she's gonna pick Lucy too. But the reason
So predictable.
No, because you and I have that in common. The reason I loved Lucy was actually just genuine curiosity.
Yes.
Her genuine
Yes.
curiosity about
Yeah.
everything just charmed my pants off.
She'd rather
she
be
was
reading
so-
than talking to people.
And that's
I
me.
totally
That's us.
understand that,
Love that. Love that.
I think we have another audience question, so you have to
Okay.
check your
Okay,
phone.
yes.
I'm sorry, I never
okay.
tell people check your phone.
You're
I'm usually put it away. I don't
Oh
wanna
my
see
gosh,
it.
we have so many questions.
Oh my
Yay,
goodness.
Good job,
Thank you, guys.
everyone. Just a reminder for those of you who haven't commented, this is your chance to win all the books. Okay, so where did we leave off? We left off with Nancy. So this is from Jeanette. Oh, it's just a booster for us. We're great.
Ah,
Jeanette.
that's amazing, Jeanette. Thanks. You're great too. Thank you.
That's so nice, you guys. Question from Elizabeth. How many total characters are in this book? Wow.
Ooh,
A lot.
I do have a little bit of a cheat sheet here. I don't know how accurate it is, but there's at least 14 on this sheet.
And I have some you don't have, so there has to be, there has to
Great.
be like...
There's a lot.
There's a lot of wonderful people to get to know. in
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
books. But I think that really the amazing thing is they're all fleshed out. They're all
Yeah.
It never
real
felt
people.
like too much.
I
I never
never-
felt lost.
I was never lost. I never
Yeah.
was like acting like or thinking, like, well, what did this person do
Right,
again?
right.
It was very clear to me.
So
Good
hopefully
question.
you like lots of characters, Elizabeth, because this is right
Well,
for
there's
you.
lots of people to fall in love with, which is great.
A question from Shelley. Which books will become movies? Oh my gosh, I hope all
I hope all of them.
I think this would be a great movie.
This would be a fantastic movie.
Yes.
I would love her backlist title, Forgotten Garden. I love so much. I would love for that to be a movie. I would love for The Lake House to be a movie. And that's a pretty... I know there is a movie called Lake House, but it's a completely different movie.
Different Lake House.
And I think those would be like the best ones to me.
Yes.
And Distant Hours.
Okay, last question from Angie. There's more, but I think we're running low on time, so this is the last question from
There's
Angie.
so much more to talk about.
Angie says, "Is there a plot twist?"
Angie!
Oh my God! Is there a plot
there?
twist?
Angie!
Safe to say more than one.
There are
Definitely more than
several,
one.
Angie.
Come on now.
I think there's a good handful of plot twists that span a century.
Three immediately
Yes.
come to mind. Yeah.
So we're not going to spoil any of them for you because we care about you, Angie, and everyone else. But I think it's time for us to reveal our super secret February book club
Is it
favorites pick.
Already?
I know.
Okay, let's do it.
Gosh.
I hate to ruin
Are
a
we-
good thing.
are we
but
ready?
I
Mackenzie,
guess
do
this
you
is
want to
it.
share?
I
It's
do want
the
to
moment
share.
of
I'm
truth.
so excited about this. So without
Cheaters
further
on.
ado, February's book club favorites pick is Every Note Played by Lisa Genova.
That's a great one.
So paperback edition of this book. How gorgeous is this cover?
So
I
pretty.
love
We are in
it.
love with this new package. So yes, very excited February book club pick. I read this. It's so good. I mean, it's Lisa Genova at her finest. Still Alice, love Anthony, Inside the O'Briens. They're all gems, but Every Note Played holds a special place in my heart. So hopefully this is exciting to you.
I'm thinking there's some music to do with this. There's music.
So,
and
very basic overview. We have two main characters here. Richard, who is a world-famous pianist. He gets an ALS diagnosis. Not great, not super fun, but his relationship with his ex-wife Karina, which is kind of the focus of this story, is absolutely beautiful. It's so moving. Lisa Genova, she is a neuroscientist. She's one of the smartest authors I've ever worked with. And
She
her
has to be.
I would hope so.
and her ability to blend, fact with fiction and really bring in the human elements of science is it's mind-blowing.
That's great. I can't wait to talk about that one.
Yes.
That'll be really
it's
fun.
So good.
So good.
It's so good.
And you guys can win it. If you comment below, you'll be entered for a chance to win Lisa Genova's novel, Every Note Played, which is so beautiful and is the February Book Club Favorites pick. And you'll also win a copy of Kate
Clockmakers.
Warren's Clockmaker's Daughter, along with all of Kate's backlist. And without further ado,
That's it.
I
Is that
know
all?
Already?
we have to take our leave. Thank you
Oh
guys so
my
much
gosh! Thank you so
for
much for
spending
coming.
time with us.
Enjoy this book.
Yes,
You'll love
let us
it.
know
So good.
what you love
You'll love
about
it.
Clockmaker's Daughter in the comments below. And we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.